Hello guys and welcome to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler and today we have a review on the CJRB, see I said it right that time, Talla. I'm going to call it the Talla. It could be the Talla, like T-A-L-L, like it's Hispanic. Either way, you guys, the Talla. We're going to call it the Talla. So first and foremost, here it is compared against a silicone packet. Alright, so initial thoughts on this knife. It originally came in not centered. I did the best that I could to get that fixed, and it is getting worse the more I play with it. I did Loctite this down, the pivot, but you know, it is what it is. I love this knife. This was my favorite CJRB design when I took it out of the box. Obviously, there's been some more added today, so I do like some of those a lot too. The Bronca I love, but I hate the detent, and I hated this one's detent, but this one's at least a little bit stronger than the Bronca. The ergos on this are pretty freaking great for a CJRB. They're probably one of the best. This ramp for your thumb, I don't know if that's what it actually is, but it's great. The choke up position is great. You can get all four fingers. You're not locked in. You can kind of, it's just good. Hot spots, I can feel a pocket clip, but it is what it is. You can always feel a pocket clip. Those who say you can't, you either have unique hands or whatever. So jumping right into this, I will say, first and foremost, to be fair, I'd modified this right here. As you can see, it kind of looks a little janky, right? I took my Dremel to it and I knocked it down. Why? Because this had a little hump here that when you held it like this, it felt weird. It was like perfectly placed to be weird. So I knocked that down and it feels amazing. Now, does that mean don't buy the Talla because it feels weird? No. But I want to be fully disclosure. I want to fully disclose what we got going on here, and I did knock that down. It took a little bit of work, probably about 10 minutes with the Dremel, just trying to check it go. I did try to take the Dremel to the ball detent hole on here to try and make the detent a little bit stronger, and I didn't really fail. It just, I guess you could say I failed, but I didn't ruin it anymore. It's got very grippy G10 texturing. This, I mean, even just doing this is not going to go anywhere. This knife is, the texturing is great. Is it going to tear your pants up? Probably. We got this little deep carry pocket clip. It's typical CJRB, if I'm not mistaken. We'll check that out in a little bit. We'll get into the specs real quick. I believe this is a D2 blade, just like every CJRB is, and it's gunky, as you can tell. I don't know if you guys can see it. See all that junk right there? I've been fucking with this knife, and I intentionally do that. I do that with all my reviews. That's why sometimes it takes me a while. I want to give you guys honest feedback, and it's not just going to be from looking at the knife and just saying, okay, this is what it is. So moving on, it is a D2 blade. I don't know how to compare Civivi and CJRB's D2, by the way. I'm not at that point, nor do I have the connections yet, but I intend to eventually. So blade stock thickness. You messing with me? Am I being dumb? Because this looks really thick. Well, this is showing a blade stock thickness of 120 thousandths. Let us go to something like the PM2, and then I'll eventually double check it. But all right, so you guys can double check my micrometer. This is coming in between 140 and 150 thousandths on the PM2. So you guys can let me know if that's right or not. I'm not going to look it up. I got to venture a guess that that's actually pretty correct. Not very scientific of me, I know. So we'll try to get the thickness behind the edge here with my potentially bad calipers. Micrometer, whatever you want to fucking call it. So it looks like about 20 thousandths behind the edge. Take another. Showing about 20 thousandths behind the edge. We will do the thickness of the handle. At full thickness, this is 580 thousandths or 58, about a little over half an inch. Okay? Okay, now let's move on to some of the other good stuff here. I'm gonna bust out my big ass tape measure. Why am I doing this? Well, because either my wife or I lost my little tape measure And now I am stuck with my big ass tape measure. Okay, so how am I gonna do this with this big fucking honking motherfucker? So this is coming in about 8 1/4 inches from tip to butt. If you take this from the blade, total length is coming in at approximately a little over 3 1/2 inches. I know I'm kind of off, but I'm trying to manage this. I'm never going to use this again in a review. Cutting edge is about the same, a little under 3 1/2. And then handle length is about 4 3/4 inches. So it's a little bit longer, a little bit bigger of a knife. We got this nice, dangerously looking Warncliffe that we got going on here. So this blade shape has a lot going on here. You have like the swedge up here, then you have this Warncliffe or reverse tanto right there, then you got this thumb ramp right here. Perfect landing zone for your thumb for when you choke up, and you got this angle right here. So just feeling this. This knife feels great in hand and probably my favorite CJRB thus far. But again, I'm prematurely making that because I haven't spent too much time with the others yet. Getting on back here, it has a ambidextrous pocket clip that you can reverse from side to side, and it's recessed, which is pretty cool. You got a lanyard hole, which isn't emphasized over anything. You get to stick something in there and you call it a day, and they kind of just drilled a hole in the back just to, say that we got one, which I guess is cool. No real chamfering, but you have this chamfering around the thumb area, and then you have awesome access to the liner lock. These are G10 scales with a stainless steel liner. Let's jump into, go into weight real quick. I wonder if you guys can see that better from that angle now. Yeah, you can. All right. We're cooking with gas now. All right, so this is a relatively heavy knife, 4.8 ounces, 4.9 ounces. We'll double check that just for a sanity check. Yeah, about 4.8, 4.9, in between there, close to 4.9. So you're gonna get a pretty close to a 5-ounce knife. So it's not light by any stretch of the imagination, but if you're like me and you started carrying a bunch of different knives, then you really haven't noticed a difference between 3 ounces, 4 ounces, 5 ounces. Now, once you get up to the 6-ounce range or you get down to the 2-ounce range, yeah, okay, there's a difference. But, those ones in the middle seem to be a middle landing zone. And if you remember one of my first reviews, I did say that a 3 1/2 or a 4-ounce knife, I think the backlash, disappeared in your pocket. Not true, but by comparison of what I was using at the time, it does. So this does not disappear in your pocket. You know it's there, but it is not a pain in the ass. That's the long story short there. So this did I do anything up there? No. So that flipper tab, not too obnoxious, but it does stick out quite a bit. It's a little skinny fucker, and probably even more skinny because I knocked that down, remember? Action on it's pretty damn good for a $35 knife. Do I think the detent is strong? Yeah, it's strong enough. Let's put it that way. It's frustratingly not, that's the best way to put it. It is so close to strong enough that it is frustrating. Does that make sense? Kind of put that in perspective, all right? So first we are going to compare this against 2 CJRBs in the lineup. I try to give as many comparison knives as possible so that you guys can really see or relate to one of them. This is the CJRB Mini Feldspar and the CJRB Feldspar. As you can see, this knife is probably larger than both of them. Let's see here. The Feldspar might be like a 1/16 of an inch shorter. The Mini Feldspar coming in much shorter if we were to try and line these up like this. Okay, so that is your 2 CJRBs. See, I've said it enough that I'm not fucking up that CRJB shit. So thank you for correcting me on that, Justin. That was a good call. You taught me something, and you helped me grow. All right, so now moving on. We have the Civivi Backlash and the Civivi Elementum. Obviously, the Civivi Elementum being dwarfed by this knife, and the Civivi Backlash, relatively so too. This is smaller than the Feldspar and the Talla. This is probably an 1/8 of an inch shorter. Can I tell that with my eyes? No, but I can tell you that it's a little bit less than the feldspar was. Okay, so moving into this. Moving right along here. All right. Next, we are going to compare it up against a knife that you guys haven't seen yet. Pretty goofy looking color. The Savivi Zucchini. Let that sink in for a second. All right. That was just sitting around the table, so I figured I'd throw it in there. Dumb joke, don't care. All right, moving on. Hope it was entertaining enough because it entertained the shit out of me. I thought it was hilarious when I hit the deck. All right, so there is my Ferrum Forge Mass Drop Falcon and my PM2. I'm gonna leave this and kind of do a metal complex situation where we're gonna talk about the carry profile real quick. Obviously the PM2 is slightly taller in the handle. As you can see here, it carries a little bit taller. No, you can't see. Not by much, but they are kind of almost as high as each other too, like wide. You got this sticking up in the PM2, but you got this part sticking up in this knife. So take it or leave it. They're very comparable in carry profile. So that is your PM2. I just want to flick that open because that's what we do. Here is your Ferrum Forge Falcon. Last but not least, we have the Rat Model 1. And then we have the ProTech Newport. ProTech Newport obviously being dwarfed. But let's take a look at the Rat Model 1. Yes, I'm getting close. The Rat Model 1 actually makes it a little bit longer than this knife. So, yeah, take that for what it will. Rat Model 1's coming in slightly longer, and you get a little bit more cutting edge with the Rat because the Rat has that drop point blade, and this is just a straight, you are getting what you see type of blade. Nice and straight edge. Again, a little bit of a curve there. So overall thoughts on this knife, should you buy it? Yes. If you are in the $35 market range, you love the style of this blade, you like some texturing to your handle or to your grips that will not allow you to really lose this knife. If you want to do some modifications because you like the choke up, you're going to have to knock that flipper tab down a little bit on the opposite side, which is totally fine because this knife is 35 bucks. You do not feel bad taking a Dremel to it. I was hitting it and I'm like, this is kind of fun. Let's start doing this more, right? Only because it's 35 bucks. Now, would I take that to my Manix 2? Already did, but that's a totally different story, which we'll get into in a second. I cut my hand on the thumb hole right here. I was flipping it so much, I literally cut my thumb. I don't think it's still there. Actually, yeah, it is. Here. Will it focus? Shit. See that? That's from flipping my Manix 2. Why? Because that circular thumb hole has sharp edges. So I just knocked it down. But that knife I know is not going anywhere, and I use the shit out of that knife. So you won't feel bad modifying this. Since I modified it, I'm definitely not going to try to sell it. I may try to dye these scales, even though they're a little bit darker. Or if somebody wants to buy it, we'll go through that route too. But full disclosure, you know what you're getting. Other than that, guys, that's basically it. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Sharp edges. You know, all CJRBs kind of have a little bit of not much done to the top of the blade. The G10 on this one doesn't feel sharp. Some of the G10s back here as you're doing the flipper tab do feel sharp. This one does not. This one feels fine. The Krag, as I'm flipping that guy, you go run right down here and you do kind of feel the insides of those liners. That does kind of feel a little bit sharper to the touch. Am I missing anything, guys? We'll talk about that. It's a satin finish. We got this. I didn't mention that, but it is a flat ground knife. Obviously, I don't really think there'd be too many styles of the Wharncliffe with a hollow grind, but yeah, let's go into one more thing before I let you guys go. Let's talk about the size of the pivot, which is that is a T8, I believe. So there's your T8. And let's jump into a T6, because I'm pretty sure that's what the rest of them are. T6. Yep. So the rest of them are a T6, and the pivot is a T8. But that's okay. It doesn't have too many screws. It's got 2 on this side, and then 3 on this side, including the pocket clip. So a total of 5 screws. You guys can live with that. I'm not going to hate on T6. I stripped them before, but it's because I wasn't using a torque set and I was trying to be a jackass. Don't be a jackass and you won't freaking strip your screws. Not true. People strip their screws when they're not a jackass. But me, I do it because I'm a jackass. Not intentionally. It is what it is. And you guys got that weird thing at the bottom there because it's starting to drift. Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. What the fuck? I don't know why I'm fixing this. I'm about to sign off anyways. But you guys are going to peace out. All right. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the CJRB Talla. I kind of didn't really give my overall thoughts on it, but I like the knife. 35 bucks. If you like the style of the blade, if you like a larger knife, like I said, this is coming in a little over 3.5 inches, total length about 8 1/4. If you like that, this knife is for you. I mean, the ergos on it are great. It's better ergos than a lot of the CJRBs I've felt, and the action on it's good. Did it come with some quality issues? Sure, but it's 35 bucks. You know, it gives you a chance to fuck around and not feel bad with it. So that's it, guys. I promise I'll let you go now. This has been the CJRB Talla. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is so just amazing that I can even do this. And I mean, I could stop at any point in time, but I mean, the fact that I feel justified in doing this because 2, 3 of you watch just feels good. So thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to ask any questions. Other than that, stay safe, stay sharp, and have a great day, guys.